Hello, Taste of Wine fans. This is Lynn, Wein, McCoy with Rock of Israel. And today I am going to make a baklava. I'm going to show you what mine came out like. Doesn't that look yummy? Now this has been setting up for about 2 days. Really, it's good within after 24 hours. You really want to let this sit and set up for about 24 hours. It will last about a week and a half, leaving it room temperature and just lightly covered. That's fine. It'll be delicious. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to put this aside so I can make some more room. Now the first thing we have to do is make a sugar syrup, okay? Now, let me just give you a word on different kinds of baklavas. One baklava, a Turkish baklava, is made simply with maybe a little rose water. If you don't know what rose water is, I'm going to show you what it is. This is what rose water is. It's actually rose extract or rose water. You can actually make this yourself, but I can tell you it's very tedious, and you have to have organic roses to do this. It was very hard to find. I actually had to order this online. You can also use orange blossom extract as well, which is equally delicious. And I'm going to make a Turkish version of this later on today that doesn't use any honey. But for Purim and the sweetness of honey, the sweetness of the honey, and we taste the word, and we're going to talk about Esther and just how sweet the word of Esther is to us. We're going to do a traditional Mediterranean version, which is made with honey. First thing we have to do then is to make our sauce, because the sauce needs to be chilled a good long time. When your baklava, and I'm going to show you, I have a baklava in the oven that's going to, oh, can you scan in there? Can you scan in there? I don't want to take it out. But it's going to be ready in about 15 minutes. And when that is taken out of the oven and the cold syrup hits it, it goes, and it's lovely. The loveliest sound ever. Okay, so I'm going to, hopefully that's going to work out in about 20 minutes. Right now I have one in the oven, but right now we're going to go ahead and make our sugar syrup. We're going to take 1 cup of water. Is my camera on me? You see all that? Just checking. We have 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, 1 cup of sugar, and 1 cup of honey. So if you're going to make this without the honey, you're going to use 2 cups of honey, or maybe 1.5 cups of honey. You're going to get about 2 cups of syrup out of this, maybe a little bit less. Don't worry about that little 2 ounces. You're not even going to miss it, trust me. So then we're going to add our honey, and we're not going to add the rose water yet. That comes at the very end. When our sauce is done, we just put that tablespoon of rose water in there when it's completely done, right when it gets taken off the stove. Okay, so there's our cup of honey. We're going to stir that around. Oh, it helps turn this oven on, doesn't it? Okay. We're going to turn that on medium, and we're going to let it go. Now this will come to a boil, and then once it comes to a boil, lower your temperature and let it simmer without stirring. So right now we want to dissolve all the solids in there, get all the sugar dissolved, and once that's dissolved, we will then let it go to boil, turn the temperature down, and just let it go for 5 to 10 minutes so it slightly thickens a bit. Okay, so while that is going, and I will watch it as we go along, famous last words, right? Okay, so while that's going, we're also going to do our butter. Now you can use, we're calling for 2 sticks of butter, and this is melted butter, but what I wanted to show you is that if you use clarified butter, I'm going to show you how to do this, but if you use clarified butter, you're going to get better flavor, and it's pure butter fat. Butter fat adds moisture. And by the way, you can make this, you can make clarified butter well in advance. You can use it for cooking. I keep it in my refrigerator because once all the solids are out of the butter, it's a very, very high smoke point, which means you can use it for making a steak. You can use it in place of a high smoke oil like canola oil. Okay, so here we have our butter. I'm not going to show you how to clarify this, but this is now called liquid gold. So what we've done when we clarified the butter, which takes about 20 minutes or so, we put the butter sticks on the stovetop. We let them go, and you have the whey that comes up to the top, and that's going to be scooped up, and then other solids that are going to go down to the bottom. You skim off the top, and then you're going to put this through a sieve with a cheesecloth or 2-3 paper towels, and that's going to keep the solids from coming back in, and you're just going to get this nice liquid coming drained out into your bowl. And this is now pure butter fat. That's what we're going to use. Now I actually did 3 sticks just in case because I always want extra. So now we're getting dissolved here with our sauce. So the butter you're going to want to do well in advance, as well as this sauce, which once it's done, it's going to go into the refrigerator until it's cold. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. I wanted to keep this cold, but you can see I have 2 cups here. Sorry I went off camera there, but I have 2 cups here of cold syrup. And this has my rose water in, and it has all the ingredients that have been cooled down. Now it's coming to a boil. Let's just get that temperature up just a little bit. And again, your rose water will go in later. I'm just going to get a check of my baklava. My baklava is browning beautifully. It has another 13 minutes. You're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, by the way. I'm just going to turn that around. And let this get up to speed. Okay, so while that is working, forgot to put the cats into another room, so if you hear cries, my female cat's walking by. She's saying hello. So if you see her on camera, her name is Lady, and she just had her 18th birthday. So this is our Filo Dough, and this is how it comes. You see how thin that is? So this has been defrosted in the refrigerator for 24 hours. It's in the freezer section. So it comes in these 2 plastic envelopes. You should get about 40 out of it. And that's if you're using the 9 by 14 size. We're going to have to trim this because my pan's 9 by 13. And I'll show you how to do that. But if you get the larger size, I actually had to have my husband go out and get another one of these for me because I didn't realize that when you get a larger size of the Filo Dough, because I was going to make a great big pan and didn't realize that the Filo Dough had half the amount of slices in it. So that wasn't going to work for me. Okay, see how thin that is? Now what you want to do is make sure that you're going to have 10 perfect ones for the bottom, the top and the bottom. Okay, so this is a cloth. I have wet this. I have wrung it out. It's damp, and it's going to go over my Filo Dough. It won't get wet. It's just going to get a little damp, and that's what we want. We want to keep it nice and moist. Once it dries out, it gets really, really flaky. It's impossible to work with. Okay. That's getting there. Just got to check on that sauce. Get it to simmer. And I think we're ready to just lower that a little bit. Okay. Now, we have our butter. we have a brush, and we're also going to need, let me get this out of the way, we're actually going to need, this is a 9 by 13 pan, so we're going to need to cut our pastry dough down just about an inch or so. So I'm going to show you how to do that. These are my nuts, and by the way, you need to grind 4 cups of nuts. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to take my wet cloth off, and I'm just going to slice off an inch. Now I know this just because I did this earlier, so I know the size of my pans, and I'm just going to cut this down about an inch. Okay. I hate to waste this, but now you can make phyllo dough, but honestly, I don't recommend it. I would never attempt it unless I had one of those great big machines. Now I'm also going to cut this just a tad right here, not quite an inch, because it wasn't quite fitting into my pan well earlier. All right. Get down to those bottom layers. And then we're going to cover it up with a damp towel. We will need that knife again later. And my damp towel goes right over it. Now what we're going to do, and we have to really work quick with this. As I said in one of my other videos, working with Filo, or Filo, I think it's Filo, was very challenging for me, but I've learned a little bit of how to do it. So I'm kind of comfortable now working with it. So we're just going to butter the bottom of our pan. And I just want to check on that syrup. Going good. All right. Put that back in, and then we're going to take a layer of the phyllo dough out. One layer. And then butter. Are you getting in there? Can you pan in there? I don't know if you can. Somewhat. Okay, now the best way to really do this, the butter, you want to make sure that you get all the way to the ends, but it's just to sprinkle it on, really. It will spread, trust me. Okay, so then we're going to have, the first layer is going to be 10. So again, like I said, you have to work quick. Second layer, butter. Now if these tear, don't worry about it. Really, it's all gonna be beautiful. Don't worry if it tears, okay? See how thin that is? 3. Right over the top. I know you're all thinking, Lynn's going to have a heart attack with all that butter. I went and had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and the doctor said, you know, you're overweight. And I was like, yeah, that's the COVID-15. Thank you very much. Okay, this is 5. Hope I haven't lost count. I get to opening up my mouth and I can't think when I talk. All right, we got the 5th layer. Make sure you go to the ends. And the 6th layer. 7th layer. Separate it. Eighth layer. By the way, if you don't know anything about Rock of Israel, go to our webpage at rockofisrael.org, and if you're liking these videos, please feel free to go to our webpage and like us on Facebook as well, and share these videos with your friends. We would love to have you be part of our Rock of Israel family. Okay, 9 layers. This is the hard part, the top and the bottom. And finally, the 10th layer. The 10th layer of the first layer. Because there's actually 4 full layers, including the nuts. So we're just going to cover that up again. We're going to butter this. Wipe my hands full of butter, and then we're going to take a cup of nuts in between each layer, and I'm just going to get a great big spoon for this. I don't really have to measure it. I know what it looks like, and I've got plenty of nuts here. So we're going to take our nuts. Now this is a combination. You want a pound of nuts at least, and it'll end up being about 4 cups. I'm using a combination of pistachio, walnuts, and almonds. I also have some extra pistachios and walnuts that have been finely ground, and I'm going to put that at the top after my sauce is on as a garnish. Now we're going to take about a cup, spread it good, and you can use any nut that you like, and your family members might be allergic to certain kinds, so use whatever you like. I use my food processor for these nuts, and you can kind of see they're very coarsely ground. You don't want them to be ground too fine, because otherwise you're going to lose the flavor of those nuts and the nice crunchy texture. Okay, layer number 2, we are actually going to do 5 now of the dough. So we have 10, then 5, 5, 5, and the final layer will be 10. It's all in the notes there, in the instructions that you'll find online with it. I just kind of broke that, but that's okay. Go all the way. Some people actually, the first couple sheets, they actually just layer 2 together rather than each one separate. But I'm going to do it this traditional way. Layer 2. Say my baklava is ready. Okay, we're going to pull it out. Turn this off. Pull it out. Oh, Look at that. Okay, hopefully this is going to stay hot so we can get that sizzle in there. In fact, why don't I just do that now so you can hear it. 2 cups. This is what it's going to look like when you take it out of the oven. We're going to keep working here. I'm going to cover this up just to keep it moist. And here we go. Let's hope we can sizzle. It's singing. Can you hear that? There you go. I almost picked it up with my bare hands. Okay. Get that syrup all in there. Look at that. And then we're going to add on some of our ground walnuts and ground pistachios. And now what you need to do, this is the hardest part. You need to let this sit for 4 to 8 hours, room temperature, without eating any of it, okay? It's really better the next day, honest. Patience is worth it. Okay, so there we have our final. I'll come back to that a little bit later. Let's go back to this. And let's see, Lynn's lost count. I think that's 1, 2, 3. We're on our, oops. Didn't butter this yet. I've seen recipes also to use brown butter. Brown butter is when you skim off the top and you let the bottom actually brown and it becomes caramelized and you have brown butter. And this actually really is a nutty, beautiful flavor. I've used brown butter for other things. I've never used it for this, but I've really just started making baklava. Okay, so this tore, but I'm not going to worry about it because you're not really going to see it. Okay? Worry mainly about the top ones, but even with those, I don't worry about it. Okay, so that's my 5th Filo. All right. All the way to the ends. Another cup of nuts. So I also want to tell you that I was busy not only making baklava today, but several varieties of Hamantaschen. I'm going to show you how my Hamantaschen came out. But I am going to be doing a Hamantaschen watch party. I'm not going to make it live because I won't have time to do a live one, but we want you to join us. And so in order to see me make Hamantaschen live, you're going to need to go to Facebook and you're going to need to like us if you haven't already liked us. And that way you'll be able to know when we're going, our live watch party begins. Also, on Friday, in celebration of Shabbat, we're going to have a guest over. We're going to celebrate Shabbat. We're going to celebrate Purim. And Greg Savitt, my coworker, who is a phenomenal speaker, he is actually going to be sharing a message on Purim. So you don't want to miss that. And so you have to like us on Facebook and know when we're going live so you can be part of that. So we figured Friday night would be great because it is the very end of Purim. It's a nice way to celebrate Shabbat. And our Russian Jewish friend cannot wait to be with us because he has not celebrated a Shabbat with us in a very long time because of COVID. So we want to give a little joy to him on Friday. Okay, so that did tear, as I want you to know. Don't be intimidated by that. Nobody is ever going to know. And God doesn't really care, so. All righty. All right. this is a little tedious. I wouldn't even say it's really time consuming. It's just one of those projects that does take a bit of learning how to do it, but it really isn't hard. It just looks so intimidating, but it's not. All right. I need my husband to keep count for me because I keep forgetting. Now there will be a few extra sheets in here, so if I go over one, it won't matter. No one's going to notice. All the way to the ends, and then layer. Another layer. Alrighty. And shake a little bit more butter on there. Oh, the butter smells so good. Do not tell your doctor you're eating this, by the way. They will not be pleased with you at all. All right. Third layer of nuts. So you have 5 layers, 5 full layers of baklava. You have the first one that's 10 of the dough. So you have the first one that's 10, then you have 3 layers of 5, and then the final layer of 10. Okay, now another. I want to show you my Hamantaschen when this comes out. By the way, in the book of Esther, most of you know that God's name isn't even mentioned. And yet, when you read the story, he was ever present. And at the end of it, Esther says, in the middle of it actually, Esther says that God called her for such a time as this. And I guess my question is today, what's God calling you to today? Has he called you for such a time as this? And are you wondering, where is God in your life? I don't see him. I don't know him. I don't understand him. I want to assure you that God is there. He is with you. And he is waiting with open arms to welcome you into his kingdom. He wants to speak with you personally. He wants you to hear his voice. Sometimes I talk too much to God. I don't listen to what he's trying to tell me. Just sit someday and listen to his voice. Psalm 23 gives us that instruction to sit by a still water. And sometimes God has to put us in a place where we're on our back because we have strayed so far that he literally puts us on our back so we'll hear him, so that we'll be in a place of listening. I've experienced that a lot this week because I was in so much pain I had to go for some pain shots, and I know what that's like. All you can do is just pray that God will take that pain away. And some of you in your life are saying, I have so much pain emotionally, and I don't know where to go for hope. God has you in the palm of his hands. He loves you and he wants a relationship with you. So would you consider reading the book of Esther, joining us for Purim, and asking us some good questions, asking God some good questions as to who he is and what he wants for your life. And I'll tell you a little bit more later on when we do my final layer of nuts. Oh, it smells so good. We also, on Purim, we not just make Hamantaschen, which I'll tell you more about when you tune in to the live watch party, but we also make gift baskets to give to our friends and our neighbors And so I'm going to be making one of those as well for my Mahjong group this week. I can't wait for that. Okay, now we're on to our final layer. Now this is when you want to try to get your final pieces without breaking, but it's also the part where they start to dry out, so it's a little tricky. So hopefully I have 10 sheets here. I'm not going to be too fussy about counting it. All right. 2. Oops. My brush fell apart. This brush has been around for a really long time. All right, well, anything can happen in the Taste of Wine kitchen. All right. We're almost there. Now, not all of the Filo doughs will have the same number of sheets. It's really by poundage. It should have at least 30, but they say on the box it's 30 to 40 sheets. So your mileage might vary, but don't worry about it if you're short 1 or 2. No. I say that because I might actually be short a couple, but doesn't matter. All right, 2 more layers, or 3 more layers. It's so thin. And I'm so happy that I didn't waste any. Enough butter too. I love when a plan comes together. Remember the A-Team? I love that show. I love when a plan comes together. Okay, so now we have that final layer in there. Butter goes on top. And then what we're going to do, after Lynn wipes her hands off, because they're covered with butter. And by the way, that sugar mixture, I'm going to tell you what's in the, let me tell you just real quick what's in the nuts, okay? The recipe is going to be online. So we had for the syrup, 2 cups of syrup, which contain the 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of honey, a cup of water, 2 teaspoons of lemon, and the rose water, okay? That's for your syrup, your sticks of butter that you're going to melt. And then we have 4 cups of finely chopped nuts, any combination you want. In that, you're going to mix, once you've ground them, a 1/2 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. And that's optional. If you don't want to use the cloves or even the cinnamon, you don't have to. You can use a different flavoring if you like. Some people also add a little rose water into the nut mixture as well, which I didn't do for this. And then you have your pound of phyllo, which comes frozen. You need to defrost it and then set it to room temperature for about an hour before you work with it. That's very important because anything, things will fall apart if it's not de-thawed right. And if you rush it, then it will split. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to cut your baklava. Now it's ready to go into the oven. You can see what it looks like. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut across, and we're going to make 4 cuts. I like to just cut down the middle because I'm terrible at like eyeball. Now you don't want to cut all the way through. You want to just cut the top layers. If you wait to do this when your baklava is done, you're going to have a mess. Okay, so now at this point you can square them, or you can do what I like to do is make triangles out of it. So you're going to start at the corner, you're going to go diagonally across. All right, and again, depending upon how big you want your slices, it's up to you. And then this piece gets cut. See these little pieces on the end? Those are the things that McCoy eats. Those are yummy. All right, so we're just going to cut that through. All right, and I'll show you, whoops, that's going to nicely. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. See that? That's going in the oven. Another baklava down. And sauce is getting done. And so this is our finished product. A beautiful baklava. And I am going to show you again the finished product. Doesn't that look yummy? Now, I would have a bite of this, but I think I've eaten about 3 pieces today, so I am not going to indulge again, but this is delicious. And I'm going to show you my Hummentaschen. So I've been working on these this morning. I rushed it a little bit, so they didn't come out as nicely formed as I like, but I have here apricot and raspberry. I'm going to be making Nutella, chocolate cream cheese, and some poppy seed, and maybe even a prune one to give away to friends. So come join me for that watch party. I'm hoping that that will be sometime by the end of the week. We will let you know, but in order to let you know, you're gonna have to friend us on Facebook and like us and share it and tell your friends. And if you want to give a gift, by the way, to the work of Rock of Israel, we would love you to support our work. We can't do this without your gifts. You make it possible for us to share these kind of programs with our Jewish people. And if you're Jewish and you're not a believer in Messiah, please don't be insulted by this. Please don't be insulted by it. I really do believe that Jesus is the greatest gift he's given to us. And I want you to just open your heart and ask God to show you if it might be true. That's all. Ask God to show you if it might be true. God says in the Hebrew scriptures, if you seek me, you'll find me if you search for me with all your heart. Seek him, and God promises you will find him. So I'm going to leave you now with the Aaronic benediction. That's my usually my closure. And again, come back and join us in a little bit towards the end of the week for another cooking segment, as well as a Purim message for Shabbat. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance towards you, and may he truly be your peace. Good afternoon, y'all. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Join us for Friday night and for the end of Purim. And again, have a wonderful day. God bless. Thank you for joining Taste of Wine. Bye-bye.